Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Coffee Moaning Papers. Welcome if you're listening on podcast. Welcome. A special welcome if you're listening today to Jill and Susan. Apparently you were hanging out with the missus yesterday. You had a lovely lunch. Hope you didn't drink too much. Hope you felt special. You can probably hear these two off camera gibbering. They whisper more loudly than they talk. It's very funny. Morning, everyone. We're going to go through the papers. Obviously, legacy media, print media, is often behind the curve. But I've just had a look online, and they're not really today. They're kind of on top of the news stories. Donald Trump literally didn't post anything for about 4 hours, so we can all kind of take a breath of a pause for breath before the next onslaught of madness. And maybe he'll target, having targeted the dwarf community. Who will he go for today? Good morning, DP. Morning, Nora. Morning, everyone. Don't forget, at 11 o'clock today, the Curly Cooks will be al fresco.
Yeah, it's February.
Oh, there's Dina. It's the 1st of Feb. Dina, you having a drink today?
Yes, I am.
Oh, she is.
I'm doing a wine tasting for you guys.
Wine tasting and sweet and savoury pizzas.
Sweet and savoury pizzas. Edward Bevington, $50 million in condoms that were sent to Gaza by Biden. Right, Edward Bevington, do you want to know the news on that? Donald Trump announced $50 million worth of condoms were sent to Gaza as if this was some kind of, he basically read the details of a expenditure to a neighborhood called Gaza, I believe in Mozambique. It was in an African country. It was a neighborhood that happened to be called Gaza. So that story, which has now been spread around the world, that somehow Hamas have been given condoms, which they've then turned into explosives. In matter of fact, he hadn't looked at which Gaza it was. So you know how like there can be many, there's Paris, France, and then there's Paris, Texas. Well, this is Gaza, Mozambique. I think it's Mozambique. It's an African country. What a joke. And this is the guy who wants intelligent people. We need geniuses. We need geniuses to land the planes. Geniuses who aren't diverse, but they're tall and they have arms. All that stuff. I mean, it's astonishing, isn't it? But have you noticed how the mainstream media likes to promote a news story like that? But like when they have to apologize for having said something libelous, the apology is always on page 10 in tiny print. No one sees the apology. No one sees the correction. It's like when Biden said he saw a severed baby's head. He didn't because there wasn't one. Musk found the invoices, but he didn't look at which Gaza it was, did he? Anyway, so let's have a look at the papers. Morning, Lee. Morning, Christos. Lovely to see you both in the room. Morning, Ellery. Morning, April Hill. So, front of the Daily Mail. Prince Andrew, he's a bad un. He's a wrong un. Prince Andrew apparently told Jeffrey Epstein, don't worry, we'll play more soon. This is bad. Prince Andrew faces fresh pressure after it emerged he promised Jeffrey Epstein they would play some more soon, weeks after supposedly cutting ties with the paedophile. The Duke wrote an email to the billionaire paedophile telling him to keep in close touch after date he claimed he'd broken off contact. Who thinks the FBI should get back? Mind you, there's going to be no one left at the FBI because Donald Trump's firing everyone. Have you seen this? He's on a purge of the FBI. Apparently 6 senior FBI officials have been fired. But who thinks? I think Prince Andrew, man. He's a shocker. Keeping close touch, and we'll play some more soon. Also in the Mirror, he was still emailing his friend Jeffrey Epstein 2 months after he claimed to have broken off contact. The newly disclosed documents led to fresh calls from Epstein's victims for Prince Andrew to be quizzed by the FBI. Oh, matey flip. And so that's in the Mirror, that's in the Mail, and it's on the front page of the Sun. Sup yours, Andrew. Duke of York pub rips down portrait. I'm amazed I hadn't done it already. Threat of new FBI probe over Epstein. Prince Andrew. So, yeah, there's an image of his sign being removed from a pub. There's the Duke of York's Theatre, but of course the Duke of York's Theatre was named after a Duke. The Duke of York is a generic title. So, you know, the theatre in central London wasn't named after the Prince Andrew. But look, that Duke of York's got a photo of him. He's a wrong 'un. He's a wrong 'un. But he's probably saying that to Epstein because let's face it. The mainstream media doesn't want you to know this, but Jeffrey Epstein and what was the name of the woman? What was the name of his woman?
Yeah.
The woman, Ghislaine Maxwell. They were operatives for Mossad, the Israeli Secret Service.
Were they?
So let's start connecting the really obvious bits of the jigsaw puzzle. Oh, the entire West's testicles are being squeezed by Bibi, the biggest baby in the world, Netanyahu, because he's got all the secrets on everyone because of someone like Jeffrey Epstein. Did you know that? It's amazing, isn't it?
Wow.
Yeah. So sup yours, Andrew. A wrong 'un goes to the height, to the heart, to the top, to the middle, to the bottom, to everything. This world is corrupt. It's corrupt. I'm telling you that right now. Beeb had a win warning. This is the front of the Mirror, talking about Wyn Evans, the most irritating man on television prior to me even knowing he was on Celebrity MasterChef. Go compare, made me want to punch Robbins. The Go Compare advert would make me want to run into the garden and destroy nature. It was a criminal offense, the Go Compare adverts. So the fact that he's come out, he's basically a man of a certain age who's a bit of a dirty old chauvinist. The BBC, apparently the union, Beck too, had notified the BBC. I mean, when is the BBC going to get a grip on this? Come on, Beeb. Our kids are Beeb babies. Me and Nads met at the BBC. But my God, you've showered yourself in shame. So the Beeb had plenty of warnings about Wyn Evans. Beck too said it previously raised concerns with the BBC about his inclusion in the Strictly lineup after members' complaints. I mean, if you've got complaints, you've got to deal with them. You've got to deal. Go on, what are we going to say?
No, it's not. It's a bit too much.
It's a bit too much. Nadia was coming in for a side swipe, but she stopped herself, guys. She literally just swerved past. If you turn into the centre pages here, Wyn Evans faces crisis talks with the BBC over his vulgar language. I mean, you know, saying you're going to spit roast your spit roast a guest or spit roast a celeb, this isn't the language. I mean, unless, of course, he was purely talking in a Celebrity MasterChef fashion about kebabs. But I don't think they were. I don't think it was. It comes as a broadcast union. Beck too had warned the corporation about the opera singer's behaviour. He's apologised. They always do. I think Greg Wallace apologised eventually, didn't he? We talked about it in great length yesterday. What is it about men of a certain age with heads that when you draw eyeballs on the back of them, they look like faces? What's going on? What's happening to the left of me? This is disconcerting. But this is,
I can see it, Mark.
this is really odd. This is women of a certain age doing something as I talk about men of a certain. Not us, the idiots, says Edward Bevington. No, I agree. So he's in crisis talk. So the BBC, literally, every time they get a warning about a celeb, they do nothing about it. Because in other news, Russell Brand's comic relief gig occurred after a complaint about his conduct. Russell Brand hosted a Red Nose Day telethon months after a colleague refiled a complaint about him urinating in a teacup. The presenter, 49, got star billing as he introduced the new... I mean, oh, come on. Go compare. Oh, go away. And did he have the stupid moustache? Sometimes, guys, as a nation, we embarrass ourselves. Why are we into such shit? Oh, God. Anyway, so Russell Brand, that story had gone quiet. Well, no, yeah, but it's interesting, isn't it? I think it just speaks to, yet again, a systemic and industrial, inability and refusal and fear to actually take action against celebrities. Elaine Denning puts it perfectly. The BBC should concentrate on drama, arts, music, and documentary. Ditch the bloody license. I never thought I'd say it, but I think we should ditch the license. Let them be out there competing and battling it out because it might improve the quality of what they make. Oh, the Halifax Man. I remember the Halifax Man. Okay, so that's those two. Why joking that a woman must be mad to have more kids is not harassment. What do you think of this, guys? Who thinks this would be harassment? Joking to a pregnant colleague that she's mad for having more children may not be a very tactful thing to say, but it isn't discrimination. An employment tribunal ruled. The difficulties of parenting can be felt regardless of race, sex, or religion, a panel said. As a result, rueful but warm, light-hearted comments about the challenges of having children do not breach workplace equality. The thing about this story that I find kind of curious, Lee Durrant, just briefly on that, it always sounds like the BBC is a toxic place. It's not in its entirety. I mean, it wasn't. BBC Bristol we worked at was lovely. It's not to say things didn't go wrong. I mean, in every workplace there's issues, but when you have celebrities really, really rule the roost, and presenters, and if they, the production teams are spineless sometimes. So, but yeah. So do you think this is anyway? This was found in an employment tribunal to not be harassment. But the thing about this story that struck me was, imagine taking this to tribunal. Tribunal. It's a funny word, isn't it? Tribunal. I just thought, God. I mean, it was very light-hearted. Comment was meant as a joke. It came in the case of an NHS England worker who tried to sue for sex, racial, and religious harassment after her boss told her she was mad for having more kids during a speech marking her maternity leave. I don't know. I just don't know anymore. I just don't know. Obviously, the tragedy of the Washington air disaster is in many of the papers. Air traffic staff left work early before plane crash. This story, or this detail to the story, broke yesterday. The papers are also carrying some of the faces of some of those who died. And it just, with all of these stories, you look at them and you just think, oh my God, look at those kids, skating sisters, Lydia and Everly Livingston, Mum Justina and Brielle Bayer, lawyer Elizabeth Keys. And you just think, God, these catastrophes, these accidents, you just think minutes before it's just a routine flight. And I mean, people do routine flying in the UK, but not in the way that they do in America. Routine flying in America is something. It's just tragically sad. And again, remembering those lost is far more significant and important than Donald Trump bouncing around like a great big orange ball, sort of pointing fingers and squealing. This was interesting. Barber jailed after breaching stalking order by looking at his ex's TikTok videos. That's Paul Belton. They don't look particularly happy there, do they? But Paul Belton with ex-wife Amy. A barber has been jailed for watching his former wife's TikTok videos as it breached a stalking order. I think this is good because I think people underestimate the extent to which being stalked, watched, and monitored on social media by people who have been threatening in your life can feel threatening. Paul Belton was subject to the order after harassing his ex following their split in 2021. The order banned him from communicating in any way, and it also barred him from looking at her social media accounts. I think this is, what is it with men, Zoe? I agree. I mean, men of a certain age, but I think this is good. I think, a lot of people would go, oh, it doesn't, a lot of people say, oh, it doesn't mean anything. If you, if someone who's a threat is looking at your social media, it means a lot. And I think the fact that they can enact the law there against a stalker looking is really good. Really good. I think the posts were public, yeah. This story is odd. The lying, the witch, and the warlock. I don't know why I pulled this, because I sort of went down, when you read a story and you think, I'm going down a wormhole here. Occultists, that's a devil worshipper, theoretically. Is an occultist just the devil? Yeah. I think they are. I think I once went out with an occultist. Yeah. She put the pentangle into my shoulder. Occultists, barristers' campaign of harassment and drunken rage against an elderly wizard. This is not Lord of the Rings. A barrister who's the chap down the bottom there, Alfred Douglas, who's known as the White Witch. Oh, no, sorry. The barrister is this woman. Sorry, I do apologize. This is the barrister. He is the wizard, Alfred Douglas. Anyway, he's a tarot card reader. And this woman is frightening as hell. She's the White Witch, well, she's called the White Witch of Rye, but she was spared jail yesterday for harassing a wizard after going on the rampage. She went on the rampage.
I'm the White Witch in Upper Norwood.
Fucking hell. Well, I think there's something. Did you hear that? When Dina said she's the White Witch of Upper Norwood, there's something clearly about white witches and rage. Because this White Witch, she went on a rampage. It's not funny because the guy was traumatized. And by the way, this guy down the bottom, apparently he trained Peter Sellers in a film or something. She became obsessed with him after signing up for a magic course with him to do tarot cards and all about the occult. But in a drunken rage, this woman smeared food. She smeared food into his computer and clothing, and damaged his possessions and shattered his greenhouse, as you can see in the shot down the bottom right. She was arrested and later admitted harassment, criminal damage, and deluging poor old Alfred, the whiz, with offensive calls and text messages. She received a 4-month suspended jail sentence and was ordered to pay $2,000. So basically, you might be a white witch, but you can be a violent fucking nutter. You get me? It puts me in mind of those people who are hippies, but are really quite angry. There's nothing worse than vandals in sandals, an angry hippie. Hell hath no fury, like an angry hippie that smells of patchouli oil. Ooh, get away from me.
I bought one of these from Must Have Ideas.
No, I haven't. Can't say I have. It looks rubbish. It looks nice colour though.
I think it's because I haven't got carpet.
Do you think you bought it because it's pink? Do you reckon if? Do you imagine on the sky? Imagine if on the Sky Papers someone walked in with their broom. That'd be quite. That's what I love about this show. Right, because we're all humans and we're all stupid and we have the attention spans of gnats and we can only really understand things in the world through food apps like Uber Eats. Ofsted is backing a Nando's-style scorecards for schools. Oh my God. We've gone from one-word descriptions of schools because parents just haven't got the time to consider what's a good school for their children. Isn't it odd that nearly every choice and lifestyle decision you make in life, you have to pass things for driving, you have to pass certain financial tests to get a mortgage, you have to be trained, you have to be licensed, but you can just have a kid unless you live in that weird region of Gaza in Mozambique where they've got a lot of condoms. You can have a kid with no training, no qualifications, but Ofsted have decided, well, let's just do a Nando's-style scorecard for schools. Our parents literally so unengaged with children that they can't read past a colour chart. I just pulled this because it's less the fact that, and Ofsted encourage this. Give us a bit more. I love Nando's. I'm not knocking Nando's. But a Nando's-style scorecard for the school that's going to decide and educate your children. What the fuck? Why not just spend a little bit of time reading 3 paragraphs, Mum, Dad? Is this Ofsted? Or whether it's Ofsted or even if people are feeding back me tube, I can only look at one word. Doesn't mean you do it. That's like the Labour Party swinging to the right because people just want a right-wing party.
What?
Yes.
Is that the right place there?
As long as it's not under the thing, yeah. Yeah, it's great. Do less washing to help us. Oh, yeah, this is an odd story. This is weird. This is a man, more than 1 million people in Japan. The headline is, for those listening, do less washing to help save a man in sinkhole. I know it's an odd one, this one. 1 million residents are told. But this guy, a man, has fallen down, a 74-year-old, has fallen down a sinkhole in Japan, a city north of Tokyo, in his truck. And the sinkhole is getting bigger and bigger. It's the size of an Olympic swimming pool. And because of the water, yeah, he's in a truck. Now, he was communicating with kind of emergency services, but then has gone quiet for the last 24 hours. And basically, they've had to ask 1 million people in the area to stop using their water, do less washing, have less showers, etc., because the use of water is making the sinkhole bigger. But I just thought that's like a proper horror story. terrifying. Sinkholes are terrifying. Terrifying. There was awful footage, which I didn't show in the end because it just didn't seem right, of a woman falling down a sinkhole, I think, in Thailand or somewhere. And maybe it was India. And it took something like three weeks. She got washed down she just disappeared. Oh. In lighter news, Bat's awesome. Granddad serving up table tennis, wins at age 92. My granddad didn't say much. He didn't do much. He didn't really have much connection with me. I mean, he was reliable, and he was a man, and he wasn't horrible. And he was good at table tennis, apparently. Yeah, I like that. My granddad was great at table tennis when he was younger. This made me think of that. This chap here, table tennis loving granddad, is beating opponents 30 years his junior at the age of 92. Look at him. Yeah, get it over the net. Good on him. Oh, my mum's quite handy with a table tennis bat. Well, she used to be. Her hands are sort of naturally, mum, your hands are naturally in the pose, aren't they, to sort of use the bat. But what's his name? Ivan Pedley. Let's give a shout out to Ivan Pedley. Racket Club. Potty-mouthed Padel players face noise ban. Padel, such a stupid name. I hate this. Padel. It's not really squash. It's not really tennis. It's not really table tennis. It's a kind of strange version of everything. Padel players have been accused of serving up a volley of foul language. It's like a cross between tennis and squash. And there are 25 million players worldwide. But apparently, the Winchester Rackets and Fitness Club, complaints have been coming in about the use of swearing. I'd like to, once we're in the territory of telling padel players to not swear, I'd like to tell football players not to fire snot out of their noses. It's disgusting. Horrible.
Or men just walking down the street.
Men,
Why do men do it?
Just because you can, and I can't, don't fire it. And, spitting is disgusting. But anyway, swearing playing paddleball. I wonder if Dina swears playing badders. I wonder if she swears. I wonder if she's playing with ladies. It's a ladies' afternoon of badders.
Has that gone out yet, that badminton?
Oh, it's going out tomorrow. Fuck me, that's nice. Kaz paddles. Well, that makes sense. She's got a gutter mouth, hasn't she, Kaz? This is a story that was breaking last week. Telegraph has only just landed on it. Smell a rat? Smell this. Breaking wind was harassment. A woman harassed her boyfriend's ex-partner by breaking wind, the judge has ruled. Rhiannon Evans sent videos of herself passing wind in a series of constant messages to her boyfriend's ex-partner. So she would literally, some of these videos are of her putting the camera down her derriere, letting rip. But when she let rip, she would be looking down. Quite well composed shots where she would look down and sort of go, there's you, got you there. Yeah, take that sort of thing. It's blowing things out. Lee Durrant, master of the one-liner. That's blowing things out of proportion. The shop worker from Gwynedd, North Wales, pleaded guilty to pursuing a course of conduct amounting to harassment and was handed a 12-month community order alongside £300 in fines for farting at her partner's ex. The harassment continued through to Boxing Day and New Year's Day. So whilst you were tucking into your aftermath of your Christmas dinner this Boxing Day, Rhiannon Evans was farting like a nutter into her phone and sending it to people. This is funny. I just thought it was funny. Locksmith locked out of van by his own dog. There's his dog. Peter McCann was left helpless after his dog locked him out of his van with his tools trapped inside. Oh, that's a cheeky dog. Maybe the dog's had enough of him. Yeah, I just love that face. Look at that face. You just want to, I don't know. There's something funny about those sorts of dogs' mouths, isn't there? You kind of want to go, brr, but you really don't. Because when you do it, you get a lot of stuff on you. A different breed. Different dogs are actually all the same. I thought this was a funny headline because it's like, right, all dogs are dogs. Doesn't matter. Speaks to the thing that I've often bored people to death about. A Chihuahua is more like a wolf inside its body than anything else. So just because they look different on the outside, all dogs are actually the same. Spaniels are better sniffers. Labradors are good guide dogs, but this is nurture rather than nature. They've been bred to do things, but in themselves, they're all the same. Would you agree? Bridget Jones, any Bridget Jones? We are going to see Bridget Jones because we know it's a cultural phenomenon. And like Nad said, my people will like this. So we're going to go and see Bridget Jones. But the new Bridget Jones premiere was took place this week. Exclusive. Fuck the old Bridget is back. Apparently she swears just seconds into the new movie. Are we past Bridget Jones? Or are we, oh, Zoe, you're up for it. Are we still up for Bridget Jones, or is she a bit of a has-been? Or is it like, oh, no, is it a 90s kickback? Are we going to have a little bit of Hugh Grant? Is Hugh Grant in He is in Bridget Jones, isn't he? I think he is. I'm getting Bridget Jones confused with Four Weddings. I actually love Bridget Jones. Oh, look, we need Bridget back to set an example for Gen Z. Me too. Bridget Jones returns to her sweary best in her latest film. The second word she says in it is fuck. But there's a bigger piece rather than just what she says as the second word in the script here. Bridget Jones, Britpop and no internet. How Gen Z have fallen for 90s nostalgia. Maybe we should do a 90s nostalgia Curly Cooks.
Oh, we've done 80s and 70s.
Yeah, but there's a lot of people here who feel quite nostalgic about that. Me and Maddie and Kiki saw something the other day. I can't remember I think me and Maddie saw something. And it was set in the 2000s. Oh, it was Dee Dee, the film, set in the 2000s. Yeah, it's amazing how nostalgic we got for the 2000s or the 2010s even. But let's do 1990s. Anyway, so this is a piece about how youngsters are obsessed with the 90s because, as Miranda Sawyer says somewhere, Miranda Sawyer spent the 90s working as a musical journalist. I used to work with her. She's lovely. She's written a book about Britpop, and she says the reason youngsters or Gen Zers are into the 90s is Oasis was the music they heard their parents play. I like this. Like for me, Joan Baez, is it? Joan Baez was like tinkling away, and Fleetwood Mac was tinkling away in the 70s. And I was sitting there playing with my chemistry set, burning myself. And I'd be like, oh, yeah, it's sort of like, and when I'm older, I hear Fleetwood Mac and I'm taken back to wearing a sort of plastic helmet because I was worried about burning myself. Youngsters today, the reason they're going mad for Oasis is they're like, oh, I remember my parents listening to that, or Spice Girls, or that bollocks. But also, youngsters are obsessed by the fact that in the 90s, as Miranda Sawyer really accurately says, we just went out and we went fucking nuts. And you could go to a restaurant, you could go to a pub, get trolleyed, go to a club until 4, and it didn't break the bank. And I think I think we forget that for youngsters, they're not only faced with appalling wages, no job prospects, zero capacity to get onto any property ladder, but they're also faced with trying to have fun. It's too expensive. So the 90s are a sort of, little did we know back then, as we were snorting cocaine off dirty toilets, we had it so good. Yeah. Anyway, I think I've done a sell there. Sale of W.H. Smith's high street shops may create book deserts, authors say. This is the news that W.H. Smith's is being sold. I didn't feel at all sad when I saw this. W.H. Smith's has been a source of great disappointment for years to me. It's never sold anything I've ever wanted. And I thought this headline was ironic. The last place I would have ever gone to buy a book was W.H. Smith's. And even their stationery department was lackluster. It looked like it had been assaulted when you went through the kind of shelving units of a W.H. Smith's. And even when you used to go there to get a magazine, they never had the right magazine. I've always thought W.H. Smith's was shit. So I'm not sad to see the back of W.H. Smith's. I don't want to talk about a perfect rat storm because it makes us all feel a bit EBGB. But perfect rat storm, rodent numbers in cities soar as climate heat, study finds. I just moved past it. And here we go. Zoe, the story we've all been waiting for. If you've done dry January, the entire world now is going to prove that you're binge drinkers, that you have a massive problem with drink, and that the myth of taking no alcohol in for the whole of January was a total spurious con. Because what you're going to do today is drink 130 million beers to flow as booze-free month ends. Yeah, that's right. Drinkers are set for a 130 million pint 6-week booze bender after the end of dry January, which kind of defeats the point. All that good work you've done, you're now going to just drink trolley loads. And really, when you go into rehab, the first thing they say to you is, Please discuss the ways in which you've tried to control your drinking. And the first thing you would say is, I did dry January and then I caned it in February. And they go, step one, you need to get yourself into recovery, mate. And finally, glory days. Parents reveal their top memories of school trips. I like this. This is the good old top trumps and things like that. These are some of the things, Dina will like this. These are some of the things we loved, our generation, when we used to go on school trips. Back of the bus antics. I love back of the bus antics. I kissed a girl called Mandy once, leaving on the coach at the crack of dawn. Do you remember that? Leaving at 6 a.m. and you never thought that time existed until you actually went on a school trip. Buying souvenirs like key rings or fridge magnets. Oh, our friend Pat, her fridge got so heavy with magnets, she had to take them all away. The fridge door nearly fell off. Everyone singing along. The sing-songs and the whip round for the driver say, share yours and I'll read them out after this. Giggling, this is a good one, giggling, Dina, giggling because teachers were in casual clothes. Look at Mr. Smith. And sometimes the teachers would say, you can call me by my first name. Having a small purse of spending money. Visiting the gift shop, always so exciting. The teacher sitting at the front of the bus. You used to throw things at them and fire things through a straw at them, wouldn't you? She'll be coming round the mountain, Faith Goodman. I maybe only drink 2 or 3. Oh, sorry, yes, you're drinking 2 or 3 times a year, so most months are dry. Well done, Sherry. That's good. Had a 17-hour coach trip to Austria with school. I heard the Dirty Dancing soundtrack. I'll repeat. I remember seeing Superman 2 and Grease 2 on a coach video player. Sharing a Walkman earphone with a friend, especially the ones that if you could turn them round. Scoffing your packed lunch first. Buying sweets at the services. I don't even remember that happening. Making faces at the cars behind you. What did you have? PGL trips, parents get lost. Waving at people out the window, Charlene Evans. The kids got travel sick, sitting with the teachers. Do you remember? I used to push my, I don't know whether it was a kind of, I used to do that all the time to the fur on the seats. It's a bit weird, isn't it? You feel it. Mooning cars behind the coach. You naughty person, me too. First time I kissed a boy on school trip, Andrew Brown. Wonder what he's doing now, says Hilary Daly. Hilary Daly, Andrew Brown, if you happen to stumble across this, Hilary Daly kissed you. Final, wearing Madonna's hat, Spell X, that's a good one. Having a toilet stop, even though it was only an hour or so away, Pixie Petal. Yeah, that was fun. And finally, sex, equality. Women like looking at raunchy pics just like men. Just thought I'd share that with you. And finally, image of the day. For those of you listening on podcast, it's quite difficult, but I'm about to show you a cartoon of a crazy looking Trump with the speech bubble. We need the smartest people in the top jobs. The smartest people in all the top jobs, which is what we've got with him. Not. Or maybe we have, who knows? Anyway, guys, there you go. That was fun. So in 15 minutes, the Curly Cooks will be happening over there. They're over there. They're all over there. That was fun. Lots of love. And see you for a kind of al fresco. I'm already freezing, so we're probably going to all be shaking by the time we get to being live.